you, the guy behind the screen. No one else can see but me. I don't know what he's doing back there, but he's up to something. So right now, we're up to something. We're up to preparing ourselves to hear the fabulous Martha Creek, who I just absolutely adore. Such clarity, such practicality, such information that the last 21 hours that we've been in class time has just made clarity so much easier for me to grasp, not even to grasp, but to move into. Fact or fantasy? Fact or fantasy? That is what it's all about. So, my good friend, one of, I consider, a mentor, I'd like to present to you Martha Creek.
Okay, that concludes the service. This or something better? Now imagine living your life believing that whatever's next is better. Whatever it is, not what you have in mind. Whatever it is. Traffic jams? Are you kidding? There's two ways to be in a traffic jam. Suffering or at peace. Who decides?
We do.
So, who created your experience of that? This is good news. Change it here. Change it here. I want to feel better. Think a different thought. This shouldn't be happening. This is happening. This shouldn't be happening. Fantasy. This should be happening. Reality. So where's the suffering? This shouldn't be happening. Suffering. This should be happening. You don't have to love it, by the way. Isn't that great? You don't have to love what is. I didn't write the book, by the way. If I had have written the book, it would be called Loving What Sucks. So, not loving what is, not trying to love what is, not even liking what is, not preferring what is, not voting for what is, just what is. So reality is kinder, easier than fantasy. So it's the fantasy and the belief in the fantasy that is suffering us. So the prison we're in then is the prison of our own mind, the prison of a mind that's not questioned, it's not been self-realized, and the door's wide open. The door's wide open. And as long as I continue to run the fantasy, I'll continue to suffer. When I come out of the fantasy and align with what is, without trying to like it or love it, doesn't condone anything, just what is, then I can approach what is with intelligent, sensible, practical ideas, solutions. Regardless of what is, what can I do from here? So think about it in terms of something concrete. I've lost my job. What am I going to do? Or I've lost my job. What am I going to do? Changes everything. Changes everything. not the circumstance, not the situation. It changes how I am in relation to the situation. Changes how I am in relation to what is. The job's over. Now, if you think it's my job and it's over, where does that leave you? My job? Where'd you get that? That leaves us victimized. It leaves us in panic and terror and worry, immobilized, shut down, and then irritated, frustrated, apathetic, resigned. Sound like much of a life? Sound depressive?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Exhausting as well. So then to want reality to be different than it is hopeless. Choir? Hopeless. These are the ones that's been around for the last few days. Hopeless. To want reality to be different than it is. Hopeless. So how long will I continue down that dead end path? How many times will I take the same street knowing I'm going to fall in the same hole? Or take a different street, one based in reality. So I'm reading now from the text, the work. There's a reason it's called the work, by the way. What is the only time we suffer is when we believe a thought that argues with what is. The only time you suffer is when you believe a thought that argues with what is. So, can suffering be ended?
Yeah. Yes.
Can we create a world with less suffering?
Yes.
Hopeful, doable, when we stop arguing with reality. And I see God as reality. And if you believe the prayer and you believe the treatment and you believe what the science of mind teaches, it is God is all that is. There's one power and one presence. It is creation, creator. We're one with it. We're all of it. It is all of us. So there's nothing that is not that. And then in our innocent little 3-year-old minds, we said, oh no. When they like me, that's good. When they don't like me, that's bad. When they invite me to their parties, that's good. When they don't invite me, that's bad. So who framed that up that way? Innocently, by the way. We drank the Kool-Aid. We didn't know. And then we were handed down a belief system of good and bad. That's good. That's good. You're good. You're bad. You're bad. That's bad. And we didn't know the difference. That no, this is a part of being a human being. This is part of the human phenomenon. This is a part of the full spectrum of a human being. This is a part of my wholeness. Sometimes I'll do it this way. Sometimes I'll do it that way. Sometimes it'll go my way. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes I'll get what I want. Sometimes I won't. Oh. Both and. Not one or the other. Both and. So until we wake up to this and align with reality and the reality of the both and, the reality of the Alpha and Omega, not the one or the other, or not the when I get my way, I'll be happy, you won't have much. Your peace will be at risk if it's hinging on getting what you want. Have you noticed? This is good news. When the mind is perfectly clear, we see what is as what is. We couldn't call it anything else. So for example, if you leave today and you go out and the tire's flat on your car, and you call it a problem. This is a problem. This is awful. What will you experience? So we've created an experience of that for ourselves. So if you look up on a flat tire and call it factually what it is, what would you call it? Flat tire. Oh my God, a flat tire. Then what would you experience? If you simply called it a flat tire, how would you relate to it? How can I get this tire inflated? Find a jack. Call AAA. There's somebody. Elliot, get him over here. Not Elliot, I hear. Your mind would be open, free, creative, innovative, ingenious. It would be creative, infinite possibilities for what could bring inflation to a tire that is absolutely shut down. The whole field collapses the minute we say, ain't it awful? All together now, we'll do this victim salute. The victim salute. Why me? Go ahead and do it. It feels really good. This will be the last time you ever get to do it for the rest of your life. Why me? Why me? After all I've done for God. If we want reality to be different than it is, it would be like trying to teach a cat to bark. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Look around your life. What cat are you trying to teach to bark right now? They should eat different. They should think different. They should not smoke. They should not drink. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. It's just like that. Then we say, bark, bark, bark. There's a book on barking. Bark. There's a workshop on barking. Come to the workshop. Come to the workshop. Learn to bark. Learn to bark. Now look around. Look at all the people barking. Look, bark, 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 bark. Get on a webinar. Bark, bark. Get you. Yeah, bark. Wow. You got it. Then you look down at them and they say, meow. So we're frustrated. They're frustrated. Loco. Wanting reality to be different than it is hopeless. Choir? Yet, if we pay attention, you'll notice that we believe thoughts like this dozens and dozens and dozens of times a day. Thoughts like this. People should be kinder. People should be kinder. Fantasy or reality? So where's the suffering? In what the people are doing or in what you're thinking about what they're doing? Liberation. Children should be well behaved. What planet do you live on? Since recorded history. Fantasy or reality?
Fantasy.
My spouse should agree with me. Just rear back and laugh. Like, where did you get that? Like, even on the way to the altar, arguing. Before you get to the honeymoon suite, arguing. Reality. So spouses won't argue, shouldn't argue, fantasy or reality. Suffering. Suffering. This is why I tease that people don't ask me to do their ceremonies anymore. The vows look very different. Hi. Person one, do you understand they'll irritate you on a daily basis? Frustrate you, blame you, shame you, guilt you, hold you responsible, manipulate, control you in the name of love. Think on that. Person two, you realize they won't pick up their socks, will leave stuff on the kitchen counter, will not shut up when you want them to, will not talk when you want them to, will remind you of your crazy mother, grandmother, and every other family member you hoped you had gotten away from. Think on that. If you can answer with a solid yes, you may make it. You've entered into a relationship on a reality basis instead of a fantasy, mythological princess bride, fairy tale.
Cinderella.
Instead, just like that. These thoughts are ways of wanting reality to be different than it is. If you think it sounds depressing, you're right. All the stress that we feel is caused by arguing with what is. So stress is a friend. Stress is like a compassionate alarm clock to wake you up. It says, wake up, honey. You're in a nightmare. You've left reality. Suffering is optional. Come back to reality. And it's like, you know, on the road when you're driving on the freeway and you start to get off the road, those little rumble marks, you know, those that wakes you up. Suffering is like that. Stress is like that. It says, you're leaving reality. Turn back. Turn back. Stay in the center. Stay in the center. Stay between the lines here. So get a sense of if you understood that about stress. Instead of battling stress, which is more stressful. And I use stress as a wake-up agent. Stress as a wake-up call to align again with reality. So turn to someone that's sitting by you and tell them, I think I read in your bulletin this series that you're in is called The Heat is On. Did I read that somewhere? Yeah. Look at someone by you and tell them the heat is on. The heat is on. And I know another way. Now look back and tell them, and I know another way. I know another way to be. I know another way to be.
I know another way.
I know another way to be.
Or not to be.
The work reveals to us that what you think shouldn't have happened actually should have. Not because it was good, simply because it happened. It should have happened because it did. No thinking, praying, wishing, wanting, no amount of misery can change what is already over. No amount of wishing, wanting, desiring, praying, grieving can change what has already happened. So think about your vitality that gets leaked out. Your presence of mind, your joy, the love, whatever you're holding, whatever you're more desirous of, whatever you're more interested in having, how much of that leaks out? trying to change a past that's already over. No amount of wanting it to be different will make it different. No amount of hate about how it went will bring you any relief. More hate, more suffering. More regret, more suffering. More shame, more suffering. More guilt, more suffering. Set yourself free. This doesn't mean that we condone of anything that happened. It doesn't mean that we approve of it. It doesn't mean it was good, that it was all right. It doesn't mean anything like that. It just accepts that what happened, happened. No one wants children to get sick. No one wants accidents to happen. And do they happen?
Yes.
Do those things happen?
Yes.
So how could it be any help whatsoever to mentally argue with that? Where's the wisdom in mentally arguing and opposing with what's happening when it's already over? None. None. And we know better than to do it. We know better than to do it. We know that it creates suffering, and yet, until today, we didn't know yet how not to. So this is a little book. It's on the back table. I welcome you to take it with you. The work is free. It's online at thework.com. This is how to and why to. Why to and how to. And you're welcome to have it. And keep it with you. Traffic could get jammed. There's also Martha Creek Talking on a format of 12 different talks of me around the nation. They're back there on the table if you want that. If you take one of these, I invite you to become a co-inspirator with me. That means I want our message out into the world. I want a message of freedom out into the world. I want a way to liberate ourselves out into the world. So these are recorded to make their way out into the world. People that would never come into our centers or to our communities here that may find this message, whether they come in here or not. So if you take it, I'm inviting you to duplicate it. It's the opposite of copyrighted. So duplicate it, share it, send it, post it, give it away. If you love it, listen to it, learn from it. If you don't love it, give it away. Goodwill, consignment, doctor's office, sling it out your car window. Give it to somebody you don't like. Do anything you've got to do to keep it moving out into the world. And I brought a couple of little funnies today that will hopefully be our practices as we go forward. Think about who you would be if you stayed in your own business. Who would you be if you did just that one thing?
Peaceful.
More peaceful, happier, more content, more joyful, stress-free. So whose business is it what they're doing? Whose business is the look on their face?
Theirs.
Whose business is their tone of voice?
Theirs.
Whose business is it who they're inviting to their party?
Theirs.
Whose business is it who they like?
Theirs.
Whose business is it who they respect?
Theirs.
Free yourself. Much of our stress comes from leaving ourselves. Leaving ourselves. And leaving our awareness of the source of ourself. And the minute we leave ourselves, that is abandonment. That is rejection. And the pain of that is so severe, we'll say, they did it. They left me. They rejected me. They don't understand me. They don't respect me. They don't love me. They don't approve of me. They don't appreciate me. So the pain is displaced. And only until I awaken to the pain started here. So even when they leave me, I don't have to leave me. When they disrespect me, I don't have to disrespect me. If they don't approve of me or appreciate me, who can do it? This is good news. Hold up your little finger, your unique little fingerprint. Out of all the billions of us, there's one of you. And point it towards yourself. I can do this. It's up to me. It's up to me. My freedom is up to me. My freedom is up to me. My liberation is up to me.
My liberation is up to me.
Setting myself free is up to me.
Setting myself free is up to me.
Hopeful. 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 Get a sense of that, of having that kind of hope. Then this means now, when you leave here, you can't give any advice. What will you talk about? So when they come running up with, oh, you'll never believe, oh, what are you going to say? How about, wow, what are you going to do about that? What are you going to do about that? Get them thinking. So no advice giving, no rescuing, no fixing. What will I do with all my time? What will I do if they don't need me anymore? Let me know. Who would you be if you weren't over there trying to reorganize a life that is not yours? More popular, yes. More invitations. Easier to be with. A listener. Empathetic, compassionate, understanding, humble. You'd realize that you're just a thought away from that. If you were believing what they believe, you'd be in the same shape. We're just a thought away from it. Now, does that sound like the world you want to create?
Yes.
More understanding, compassion, humility,
Yes.
Yes.
love,
Yes.
friendlier. Yeah. Hopeful. Possible. Possible. What is love? We kind of got into it these last few days. What do you think love is?
Well,
Getting what you want?
yes.
When I get what I want, I'm all in love. When I get what I want, boy, it is going my way. I love you. You're the best. Then they say, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Well, who cares what you want? Do it because I want you to do it. I love you. Drop your wants. Drop your passions. Don't live a life. Live the life I have in mind for you. I love you. Do it my way. Sound like love? Can you see how to even suck the life out of the room? What happened to the energy in the room, into you, as your energy plummets? Like, the energy of a group would plummet too. So what's the consequences to you to keep running this paradigm of what we think love is? What's the consequences to you and your loved ones to continue to run this paradigm of what we call love? More suffering, irritation, disappointment, sadness, despair, So what would it be like if you just dropped the concept? If you didn't measure what they did and who they are and what you do and who you are, if you didn't measure it, if you dropped the concept of love, what would that do for you?
Peace.
More peace, freedom, a higher consciousness, more clarity. Now, how would you live your life differently if you weren't looking through this old paradigm of this old cloudy lens of this? How would you live your life differently?
I have a lot more time.
Peaceful.
Yes, you'd have more energy, more peace. You do what interests you. You do what was right for your soul. You do what you call right action. You'd be in integrity. Sound like more of a life? Hopeful? Yeah. Here's some definitions from some kids, little 6 and 7-year-olds, what love is. When my grandmother got arthritis, she couldn't bend over and paint her toenails anymore. So my grandfather does it for her all the time, even though his hands have arthritis too. That's love. When someone loves you, the way they say your name is different. You just know that your name is safe coming out of their mouth. Age 4. Love is when a girl puts on perfume and a boy puts on shaving cologne and they go out and smell of one another. Not far off. Love is when you go out to eat and you give somebody most of your French fries without making them give you any of theirs. Love is what makes you smile even when you're tired. Love is when mommy makes coffee for daddy and she takes a sip before giving it to him to make sure it tastes good. Love is when you kiss all the time, then when you get tired of kissing, you still want to be together. My mommy and daddy are like that, and by the way, they look gross when they kiss. Age 8, it'll pass. Yeah. If you want to learn to love better, you should start with a friend that you hate. Love is when you tell a guy you like his shirt, even though he's worn it every day. Love is like a little old woman and a little old man who are still friends, even after they know each other well. During my piano recital, I was on stage and I was so scared. I looked at all the people watching me and I saw my daddy just waving and smiling. I wasn't scared anymore. My mommy loves me more than anybody. You don't see anyone else kissing me at night, do you? Love is when mommy gives daddy the better piece of chicken. Love is when your puppy licks your face even though you've left him alone all day. So these are some little funnies. They're on the back table too. So begin to think now. Big deep breath. Take it in. And get an image of who you would be. Get a feeling. Get a sense of it in your body. Free of this. Free of trying to do it right. Free of wanting what I don't have. Free of shoulding on myself. Free of shoulding on other people. No more shoulds. The wanting's down. Accepting what is as simply what it is. So if you weren't at war with what is, who would you be? Answer it out loud. Peaceful, joyful, calmer, relaxed, happier, more creative, innovative, ingenious, resourceful, intelligent, sensible, practical, more love. Would this be all right with you?
Yes.
Cancel whatever you thought you were going to do for 2 hours and hang around here
Yes.
and dig yourself out of this. Stay if you can. Stay if you can. Get what you came for. Leave here on a more solid ground about this. And it's available online in the little book back there if you can't stay. I love you and cannot help it. And I happen to love the way I look in you. It's a privilege to serve here with you, to be here with you again. And it fulfills the mission for my own life, which is to serve those who serve. So I believe it's a divine appointment indeed. And I'm very, very grateful to be here.